So I watched a whole bunch of movies in the last week and didn't review a single one of them because I was tired. Just, November was a very draining month for many reasons, as you well know. So I just felt too tired to talk about any of the movies. But I'm gonna do some videos now. Try to get caught up and keep going through the end of the year. So I'm gonna do a couple of these together. I think they sort of went. Movies sort of went together. If my notes will load, this is good. Oh, I've got the rainbow thing. Wonderful. Here we go. Okay. So the first one I watched was Rex Ingram's The Magician. It's from 1926. It's a silent film. It's directed by Rex Ingram, the director, not Rex Ingram, the actor, separate people. It's based on a W. Somerset Maugham novel. This is before Maugham was very popular, and this is one of the earliest adaptations of one of his works. Stars Paul Weniger, who's in a lot of silent films from this era, as the titular magician who is seeking the blood of a virgin in order for his latest experiment to work. That goes about how you'd expect it. This film has really beautiful tinting, gorgeous use of matte paintings and other very elaborate set pieces. It's a great performance from the lead actor. It's definitely one of those mid-20s big production type films. I definitely recommend checking it out. I think it's on DVD from Warner Archive Collection. Um, there's always weirdness about stories that are seeking the blood of virginal women. I particularly like how in Hocus Pocus that riff is turned into having the virgin be a man. That has nothing to do with the magician, I guess, except that I was thinking about that because you don't often see these type of stories looking for male virgins because you just expect it to be women. So this is The Magician. It's from 1926. The other film I watched, this was last Saturday, was Frank Berzegi's The Mortal Storm. Now this one was really intense and probably one of the best from anyone in this cast. It's Margaret Sullivan, James Stewart, Robert Young, and Harry Morgan. And it was right the same year as Shop Around the Corner with Lubitsch, where you had Sullivan, Stewart, and Morgan all together. And that was sort of the comic side. This is a dark story set in the 30s as the Nazis were coming to power in Germany, and how it tore families apart and tore friends apart, and certain people could see where the country was heading and other people could not, or were into what the country was heading to. And it was terrifying to watch because it seems as if we're in the same place here in America right now, and eerily so, with misplaced nationalism and fear mongering and anti-intellectualism, um, just and things about borders and all kinds of stuff. It was kind of freaky to see that history repeats itself, and that's really depressing because some of us are seeing it happening, and everyone else is just it's happening. So I highly recommend finding this one. It's from 1940. Frank Berzegi's The Mortal Storm. It will give you chills. You will cry. Um, there's bits of it mixed in to all of that. There's this beautiful romance that blooms between Sullivan and Stewart. They have the same chemistry that they had in Shop Around the Corner. But because this is a Nazi film and it's made in the height of the like sort of Warner Brothers Nazi. I think this is a Warner Brothers film, but the anti-Nazi. I don't quite want to call it propaganda, but it is basically propaganda. This was the height of that, and especially at Warner Brothers. And so it's not going to end well. That's all I'm telling you. Bring tissues. This is The Mortal Storm, 1940. It's definitely one of the best Borzaghis, where he brings his melodramatic touch, and I don't mean that as an insult, to Nazi propaganda. Not American anti-Nazi propaganda, not Nazi propaganda. And then the last one I watched was 1938's The Divorce of Lady X. It's directed by Tim Whelan, and I believe it's based on a play. And it stars Merle Oberon and Laurence Olivier. Yes, the stars of Wuthering Heights. Except in this case, it is a romantic comedy, and it is in Technicolor. Utterly gorgeous, beautiful Technicolor. This is one of, I think, two films that Merle Oberon did in Technicolor. And wow, she's beautiful. But also, she's so funny in this, and Olivier is so funny, and they're just so funny. It starts out with this beautiful neon shot of London, and then it zooms into this fancy dress party that is being had in this fancy hotel. But the fog has come in, and they think everyone should stay the night because the fog is just too dangerous to go through. It's that really thick London fog, and everyone's trying to find an apartment or a place to stay, and um, Oberon's character sneaks into Olivier's suite and says, basically, talks him into letting her stay. He, the next day, gets a new client. He never finds out who she is. He thinks she's married. The next day, he gets a new client who's divorcing his wife because she spent the night in some unknown man's chambers in the same hotel, and he thinks it's Merle Oberon. We know right away that it's not and that she's somebody else, but he doesn't. And so the rest of the film is us knowing this and her knowing that he thinks she's someone else, um, and them her trying to figure out the best way to figure out the situation so that she and Olivia can be together. And it's adorable and sweet and just a really fun, screwball comedy, but with British mannerisms and beautiful Technicolor, like absolutely stunning. Um, it's in the Janus Library, so the print that's floating around is gorgeous. You can watch it on Amazon Prime. I highly recommend it. Gorgeous film. So The Magician from 1926, The Mortal Storm from 1940, and The Divorce of Lady X from 1938. I recommend all three. They're all very different films. That was my Saturday, last Saturday, getting caught up. But they were just very, very good, and all for different reasons, which is why cinema is so amazing. Is you can there's just so much, and it's all so wonderful, and I find myself overwhelmed with films I want to see. Um, how do I watch it all? I don't know. I just keep trying, I guess. So watch those films. They're good.